If your team is top of the league, 5 points clear, smash that like button on this video. Thank God we won that game. Man, we did not make it easy for ourselves. And where do I start? There was so much to talk about in that game, so many talking points. Going forward, I thought our movement at times was brilliant. We were so switched on, we were sharp, we were just always one step ahead in terms of thinking about what to do than Luton. And, all of that was great. And you look at that and you think to yourself, yeah, this team has got goals in it and can go and do something. And then defensively, oh man. And obviously our goalkeeper, we're going to talk about David Raya as well. But look, I'm going to start on some of the positives first. Gabriel Jesus, man. Honestly, what a player he is sometimes. Sometimes he's a joy to watch. Let me know who you put down as your man of the match in this game. But for me, it was Gabriel Jesus. I felt like he was involved in everything good that Arsenal did. Just look at that first goal. What I love about that, the goalkeeper's kicking that out all day. And Jesus has just gone there to sort of pressure him to do that, to not be able to sort of control it, whatever. But what I love about what he does, when that ball goes into the stands, he's actually following it up. He knows exactly what he wants to do. And when that ball bounces off something and comes back onto the pitch, and Gabriel Jesus is running to that ball, picks it up, goes straight to the touchline, turns around, arms above his head already. And that's asking for your team to basically to give me some movement. I'm ready. Goalkeeper still getting back into position. Let's hurry this up. And so many players would sort of leave it to the designated taker, sort of wait for Ben White to come, or they wouldn't necessarily follow it up. But, oh man, Jesus sometimes, honestly, he's so present in the moment. And what you need is for someone else to join you. It's no good you just doing that, because if no one else joins you, then who are you going to throw the ball to? Saka. I love it. Catches his defender by surprise, sort of jogs, and then makes that move, then sprints. And it's that movement, that sort of sharp sprinting that Arsenal did today that I really, really liked. First goal was brilliant. And obviously Martinelli goes and gets it. But then for Luton's equaliser, Martinelli's defending was awful. He had responsibility for Osho at the corner and just gets brushed aside way too easily. He's sort of, at first he's in the right place and then Osho just gets away from him. Martinelli, you can tell he's a forward because that was awful, awful defending. And look, we're going to talk about David Raya, but David Raya couldn't do anything about that goal. So, no complaints there. But our second goal before half time, I absolutely loved as well because Saka involved again, Ben White, brilliant interplay between those two. I love watching, I've said this so many times, usually it's Saka, White and Ødegaard. On the right-hand side as Arsenal attack. This time, Ødegaard wasn't needed. Saka and Ben White, brilliant. And again, Ben White is with that sharp movement. He's made a run, he's committed to it, and you trust your teammates to find you. Saka did it, and what a lovely ball. They're the sort of goals that I love as a fan because you see that ball coming in and it reminds you of Ramsey's goal in the FA Cup final. That ball is perfect and you see the player running onto it and you can finish that with aplomb. You saw Gabriel Jesus, his hang time was incredible. He was in the air for ages and then timed it to perfection, bang, headed goal, loved it. Really, really good play. And then at 2-1 at half time, you think to yourself, yeah, Arsenal have got this, but that's when the David Raya nightmare started. And look, I have to admit, we all know deep down, Ramsdale was a huge fan's favourite. A lot of Arsenal fans really, really loved him and still do love him. And what that means is that when Raya makes cock-ups like this, when he has an absolute nightmare, and he did, there's no denying it, there'll be a lot of fans that are going to be harsher on him and sort of jump on that because, they want to see Ramsdale. And I think as fans, we need to sort of get away from that. Like Kai Havertz, some people just find maybe not anymore because he's sort of done it a little bit consistently in the last few games. But perhaps still, there's some Arsenal fans that find it a little bit harder. They're just not as happy when Kai Havertz scores versus, let's say, an Ødegaard or a Saka. And we need to move away from this. David Raya, I've always said this, and you would have heard me say this before. I don't see what he gives Arsenal above Ramsdale. I don't think he's that much better with the ball at his feet. He's certainly not as good of a shot stopper. From crosses, he gives me nightmares. Usually it's his positioning, way too advanced at the near post, and crosses just go over his head. And he's not 6'6" for crying out loud. You know, he's not a tall goalkeeper. But when you look at how he conceded from that corner, this is a Premier League goalkeeper jumping for the ball and using his arms, outstretched arms. How are you getting beaten to that ball by a player who's using his head? And I mean, even the goal scorer there is not a giant of a man. That was awful, awful from David Raya. Really, really poor. And I just wonder, you know, does it make any difference to Mikel Arteta that he had an absolute howler? And then he went and did it again because, I mean, Ross Barkley, really good run at the start, but when that ball goes to Townsend and Ross Barkley gets it there, I'm not worried. You've got Ben White there in a decent enough position, but when Barkley takes his first touch, Ben White doesn't get his distances right at all. Never, ever gets close enough. And then like a step over, it's not the quickest, it's not a flipping Brazilian step over, is it? It's just, bog standard step over, and Ben White gets sold so poorly, gives Barkley so much space to get his head down, knowing that he's got the time to get his foot through that ball. I mean, Ben White didn't cover himself in glory, but the fault really has to lie with David Raya, because that is straight at you. And for it to go under you like that, nightmare, absolute nightmare. Look, David Raya should be the most relieved man in that ground for the fact that Arsenal came back. And again, with our third goal, look, it's a bit of a hopeful hoist forward from Bukayo Saka. And Jesus, the way he pins his man, backs into him, really, really good centre-forward play. And it's so hard to do that with your back to goal. Listen, when you're facing goal, you get nice little through balls, etc. That's the easy part of centre-forward play. When it's back to goal, aimless balls, you have to make something of it. You've got a big defender. You have to sort of like hold your ground a little bit. Defenders can go straight through you. It's a mismatch. It always is. But the fact that he does that, and then he's got the composure and the awareness to play such a lovely, perfectly weighted ball to Kai Havertz, was brilliant. And listen, I don't want to hear anyone say about Kai Havertz about his goals being like 2-yard tap-ins. The reason they're 2-yard tap-ins is because the biggest change in Kai Havertz's game recently is that he has been making decisive movement, assertive forward runs, and I love it. This is what he was not doing at the start at Arsenal. It's like he didn't understand his teammates or trust them maybe to play the right pass, but it's like recently what I've seen in his movement, it's just really decisive, and it's like he expects to get the ball now, and that obviously helps you make that forward movement when you expect to get the ball. He's doing that now, and that's why he's in the right place at the right time. His goal reminded me of the one he scored against Lens in the Champions League. When you look at the one he scored against Brentford, the header. Now, not obviously a similar goal because it's with his head and not central, it's at the back post, etc. But it's all coming from that decisive movement. And that one change in Kai Havertz's game has made him look so much better. It's all he has to do. And listen, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot more to come from him. I don't think necessarily that he's, dropping 8, 9 out of 10 performances every single time. He did well today, though, and he got his goal, and a really important goal. Again, this is not sort of a fifth goal and a 5-0 win. Really, really important goals. So give Kai Havertz his credit, and then the winner. We're talking about Kai Havertz. We're talking about David Raya. They're both new signings, and we're not sort of, saying every single week they were great. It's been a bit of a ride with those two. But Declan Rice, oh man, that is what you pay the money for, honestly. When I look at Arsenal and how we've been playing against Wolves today, I think to myself, no, you're not going to win a title like that. But then I look at Declan Rice and I think to myself, with this guy in our team, he could be the difference. Honestly, he is that good. I called it a long time ago when we were in for Caicedo, saying I don't see a player of that value there. But with Declan Rice, listen, man, the only time I questioned it was his price in relation to Jude Bellingham. And actually, do you know what? forget about that comparison in terms of price. Both of those people, both of those players are absolutely justifying their monster transfer fees. And you can see why that money got paid. They are the real deal. Now the conversation is very simply Rodri or Declan Rice. And honestly, I mean, Rodri is one hell of a player as well. And I don't think Rice is going to knock him off his perch that quickly. We're only 15 games into the season. But, mate, listen, by the end of the season, I really wonder who people are going to be talking about as the number one man in that role. Because Declan Rice is killing it. Absolutely killing it. I love the fact that he got the goal. He inspires me with so much confidence. And you know, Erdegaard as well. Just a note for him, because watch that goal back. When that ball's on the way to him, he takes one really quick glance. I love that about Erdegaard. Nothing is by chance. Our captain, who actually wears the armband with the assist, and sort of the captain in waiting, Declan Rice, with the winner. What a brilliant, brilliant result. But it's crazy to say this when you score a 98th minute winner and there's only 6 minutes of injury time. But I'm not happy today because, you know, at the back, you don't win titles like that. We've got to be so much better than what I saw from Arsenal at the back. Going forward, our movement, brilliant. At the back, nightmare. But on another day, I guess David Raya does his job, and you know, maybe it's 4-1 instead of 4-3. So listen, I'll take this and I'll take the positives out of it, but we have seriously got to improve. But the one thing I would say, even though we conceded 1 against Wolves and 3 against Luton, no team in the Premier League has conceded less goals than us. So listen, it's a bad game and, you know, maybe a bad end to the game against Wolves, but overall, defensively, we are sound. And the most amazing thing is, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, etc., no one is playing to their full potential, but we're the ones that are leading the pack. So when we do hit full potential, it could be an exciting season. Take care, up the Arsenal, smash that like button, because we are top of the league.